Welcome back to New Era, a podcast for everyone committed to fair representation in the sports industry. I'm Eleanor Kayufa, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Katie Preston. As women's sport continues to grow, brands are realizing their responsibility goes beyond visibility, understanding that they have the power to drive real change. So today, we're looking at how Dove is using its platform to challenge the dropout crisis in sport and redefine how brands engage in purpose-driven partnerships. We're thrilled to be joined by Stacey June, Global Head of Education and Advocacy at Dove, to explore how the Unilever brand is tackling the dropout crisis among young girls in sport. Welcome, Stacey.
Thanks so much. I feel honored to be here.
Before we get into kind of the details of the various initiatives you've been involved in, I think it would be a great point to start with a little bit about your journey and what led you to Dove and how your experiences have shaped your perspective on sport as a tool for social change.
Yeah, my career path was a bit unplanned. I think always being open to new opportunities has kind of led me back full circle to something I'm so passionate about, sport. So yeah, I did my bachelor's in health and sport sciences, like exercise physiology, at the University of Oklahoma. I was coaching basketball at a local high school in Oklahoma as an assistant. We won the state championship, yay. But after a couple years and kind of getting ready to be a teacher doing health education, I decided I'd actually rather learn how to take health more public and bigger scale. So I did my master's in public health, and that took me to the state of Oregon, where I was working in the adolescent health department, school, adolescent health. So always kind of focusing on that age group. And then again, back to physical activity. So I was in a physical activity promotion role. One example of the projects I led was planning International Walk and Bike to School Day. And so, encouraging parents and kids to get out, be physically active, and use their legs to get to school. So that was a great opportunity. And then I decided to work in international health. So I went to India, and really for the past 20 years, I've kind of been working in international health. I joined Unilever when I was in India after about 5 years of working in NGO sector in India. And with Unilever, it was Lifebuoy. We were doing hand washing behavior change programs in schools. That was incredible. Hygiene is so important. And I was leading some partnerships and projects across Asia, Africa, Latin America. Then that brought me to Dove. In 2016, I moved to the UK and was so excited to get into a more mental and emotional health issue around body confidence and focusing on improving young people's body image. And yeah, I've been doing that for the last 9 years. And the full circle moment was when we started working on body confident sport. We always knew that there's lots of things in our lives that poor body image can hold us back in, and that one of those could be sports. And actually, it's like a dual relationship, because poor body image may hold you back, but then if you can get people to be physically active, they can start to appreciate their body for what it does and the body functionality. It's actually one of the only ways to build up positive body images through sport and physical activity and more appreciation for what your body allows you to do. And it's incredibly important. I mean, sports has played such a great role in my life. I mean, you see all the stats and memes going around, how C-suite female executives, over 90% have played sports. And, it teaches you discipline, dedication. It teaches you that commitment, humility, how to be a good loser, resilience, how to recover from that. I mostly played team sports all my life. Basketball was my main sport. But I think, teamwork was most important. I like Michael Jordan's quote that, talent wins games, but it's really the teamwork and intelligence that will win you championships, because it doesn't matter, who's talented, like now in my team on Dove. Great. I have the public health background. I know how to take programs to scale. I know about, some of the health issues that body image, physical activity can impact. But really it's without my whole team that, the communication experts, marketing experts, we wouldn't have the success we do on Dove or with Body Confident Sport. And even the team we put together for developing Body Confident Sport, Nike, Center for Appearance Research experts in body image, health psychologists, as well as the Tucker Center at University of Minneapolis.
Let's talk a bit more about the Dove Self-Esteem Project and the Body Confidence Sport program, like you just mentioned. I'm sure everyone is already aware stats in particular around young girls and body confidence is quite alarming, with 9 out of every 10 girls with low body self-esteem, putting their health at risk by not seeing doctors, skipping meals, things like that. And more linked to the sporting side, 1 in 2 girls stop playing sport because or in alignment with having their body type criticised. And I know since 2004, Dove has been building its self-esteem in young women through the project. And by 2030, you have a goal, which is incredible, of helping 250 million people through the educational program. So can you walk us through the project, how it initially came to life and what Dove is doing to tackle the issue?
Yeah, we just celebrated our kind of 20 years of the Dove Self-Esteem Project last year, and there's been some incredible people, experts, Dove teammates, all of our Dove colleagues in different countries, as well as us on the global team. I wasn't there 20 years ago, but what I understand from the history, Dove was ready to make a real paradigm shift in the way we did advertising. Kind of the 3 main modifiable risk factors for someone's body image is media, peers and friends and family and parents. So Dove wanted to make a big change, but the experts said, that's incredible. You're doing that for women. But if you really want to make a big social impact on this topic, you need to help prevent it when it's starting. So puberty and our bodies changing is that big moment where we start to experience a lot of appearance anxiety. And really any time, especially in a woman's life, when our bodies are changing, if someone chooses to have a baby in pregnancy or perimenopause, menopause, those big moments of our changing. So yeah, we started off, we worked with experts always to inform what we're doing and create the educational resources. And, school workshops has been kind of a universal program where we've gotten the most reach over the years and focusing on schools. We also have tools for parents. Over the years, we've developed more tools with partners, whether it's for youth leaders or some starting to go directly to young people. But Body Confident Sport was the first time, to have a tool for coaches and to really address head on the issue of body functionality and embodiment and kind of building up body image through sport and physical activity and having fun with your body and moving. And yeah, it was a 3-year project to even develop it. We are not the experts in sport, so that's why we wanted to start working with Laureus to help inform us and also direct us to who would be a good partner. So actually Laureus had introduced us to the Nike team who they already worked with. And of course it was great. Nike has all this experience in training coaches already. So we brought in the body image experts from Center for Appearance Research, and the Nike team have their experts on girls and women in sport at Tucker Center. And together, we created this amazing team. We did pilot sessions. We started off with formative research on looking at talking to girls and coaches in 7 different countries and understanding what were the barriers, what were the pressures they were feeling. And from that informed developing the content, which started with a pilot. We refined the content a bit more, taking on board what we heard from the coaches and the athletes. And then we went into finalizing the content and doing a full-scale randomized control trial in the United States to ensure, one, we want to do no harm. Even if you have good intentions, you could raise anxiety and not give the young people skills to deal with it. So always important to us to work with experts and ensure we have something that's evidence-based, especially when you're working in a mental health topic. And yeah, we're on the implementation journey now, and after launching in October 2023.
So exciting. So as you mentioned, Body Confident Sport is, I believe, the first of its kind evidence-based program
like this? Obviously through the partnership with Nike and all the academic researchers that you've been sort of engaging with and talking to about it. Can you share what resources are available, not just for young athletes, but also for those working within the sports sector?
Yeah. So after kind of understanding the space and the needs, we basically came out of what body confident sport entails right now is body confident coaches. So there's 3 online modules where the coach can, go through these interactive modules in a way that's really inclusive and supports body confidence in athletes. Each session's about 20 to 30 minutes, and there's a little badge you can get as well to be a body confident coach afterwards. So that's all about introducing the topic of body image. How can a coach tackle negative body image? And then how can they promote body confidence? And then the other tool we had was, okay, we want to be sure, we've given the coaches an overview and oriented them to the topic. We now want to give the coaches a tool that they can actually, implement and take to their athletes. So it's for coaches of girls 11 to 17 years old. Again, there's 3 sessions. They are available for download. There's like a guide for each. The first topic is body talk and sport. So I don't know if you've seen our latest Super Bowl ad, but it actually talks about some of the impacts that body talk can have on a young person. Then it's also a lot about like intuition and listening to your body, which can hopefully prevent injuries and things as well. So it's about what do our bodies experience in sport, and then the importance. The third session is about listening to our bodies in sport. So there's a website, the online interactive modules for coaches are there as well. You can download the Body Confident Athlete modules, and there are short 2-minute videos that can orient coaches to how to use the Body Confident Athlete tool. There's an athlete workbook as well to go alongside it, because really in a mental emotional health issue, it's about applying it personally, because we all may face different body image pressures, but in any kind of mental health intervention, it's important to be able to apply it personally and take the time to think about how these things make you feel. So yeah, our first goal was, as you said, to develop the first evidence-based tool for coaches to impact girls' body confidence and self-esteem in sport. And then we want to get the tools now into the hands of coaches so we can impact girls globally. And then our third goal was really to create a world where this becomes a social norm, and overall, any participation in sport can lead to increasing someone's body confidence.
Stacey, thank you for sharing all that information. I think it's one of the things I love about this program is how multidimensional it is. But I'd like you to share, you're obviously creating these resources for them, but what role do these figures actually play in keeping girls engaged in sport?
Understanding that these appearance anxiety really kicks in at puberty when bodies are changing for girls. But there are several reasons for girls dropping out of sport. And Nike actually has a tool called Coaching Her they made with Tucker Center that covers a lot more comprehensively other topics. But for us, Dove, stay in our lane. We have focus on one thing, and it's around body confidence. So yeah, we just don't want that appearance anxiety, worrying about what does my uniform look on me, or spending unnecessary amounts of time focusing on appearance when they could be spending that time training or competing. How do we stop parents or coaches from inadvertently, unintentionally making comments about someone's body who could have a damaging impact on their future enjoyment of their bodies and in moving their bodies? And how do we change the world, like the advocacy piece? So how do we make this a social norm and create more awareness? I think I've talked to one of your WSL players, and she said, she's been on teams for years that like girls had to get up early and go to fat camp and things like that. Like, there's different sizes bodies for different positions and roles, and we believe all bodies are capable of being active and playing sports if they want to. So we want to make sure all girls enjoy the awesome things their bodies can do.
100%. And I think it's, as you said, it's so important to recognize all these various touch points that these young girls have, whether it's, through family or coaches, and the role that they can each have to impact. And, I think it's important to highlight that Dove obviously isn't a brand that's traditionally associated with sport. And yet, you're making such a strong impact in this space and heavily investing. More recently, we'll touch on the latest investment with Gotham FC later on. But I think from your perspective, I'd love to hear kind of why sport has been the chosen vehicle to, impact areas of mental health and body positivity.
Poor body image has so many impacts. How we participate in life, whether we socialize or not. Katie mentioned the health impacts, so stress, anxiety, depression, self-harming behaviors, risky alcohol abuse. So we know that it's impacting health. People don't understand how appearance and talking about appearance constantly and how it's kind of overvalued and too much emphasis is put on it, right? So yeah, I think knowing the benefits of sport and seeing that this is one of the barriers, we just knew we needed to take action to do something. And, Dove is very much committed to, we want to walk the talk, fine. We do make amazing communications and advertisements and what we call brand say and raising awareness about an issue. But really what's most important is we're doing something. We don't want to just talk about a problem, but not do anything about it. So we have mentioned dropouts of sport in some past advertisements of Dove, kind of lightly. It was mixed in with other topics. And yeah, understanding that our universal tools like school, that in general will help build body confidence, but we weren't yet looking at the specific impacts of our body confidence on participation and being physically active and involved in sports. And two, there's a lot more science coming out around embodiment and body functionality. So I think, knowing we wanted to do something, sport is so important. Girls are dropping out, kind of that intelligence piece. I mean, we talked to so many, speaking to Laureus, UK Women in Sport. I mean, we knew we needed to get a sport brand and experts and training coaches on board. But yeah, it just made a lot of sense in order to be a tool that we really focused on one specific behavior that girls were dropping out of.
I think on from that, Stacey, while Dove and yourself in particular have been sort of in this territory for a while now, with other brands sort of starting to come into this sort of space, what for you have you found over your time at Dove on the project in particular has worked for you? What hasn't worked? Anything you've learned along the way, things like that?
Lots of learnings. So, I mean, just from, the pilot days of understanding I played sports, I coached, but yeah, understanding today, when we were launching this in 2023 and all our learnings and implementation over 2024 is, the time limitations coaches have, lots of feedback from partners on, we want this for younger kids, or what about boys in co-ed programs? We do have some tips for parents, but, could see where there's more there for parents. We wanted to partner with Special Olympics. So, that's a whole nother area we need to look into is we don't know a lot about body image issues in athletes with intellectual disability. So much, so many more questions it's created. But yeah, I think what worked, working with experts, body image experts, but, it just reinforced that commitment we have to working with experts and knowing, we need to work with Nike, experts in coach training, Tucker Center, experts in girls and women in sport. Like working with experts is so important. Working through Laureus and understanding how grassroots organizations work or federations, like we're constantly learning, always getting some coaching from the Nike team on social impact as well, and our partners. The challenge for coaches a lot is time. So it is 3 one-hour sessions. And that's tough, for a coach who may have a limited time with their athletes in preseason, season, and, have to focus their energies on training and strategy and things like that. So yeah, we're looking, where can we expand? How can we scale up? How do we integrate how our coach is learning, what's the best formats. So what's the right format for our content? Lots of learnings all the time.
Amazing. And I think you just mentioned a really good word there in terms of scaling up and obviously all the learnings. And I think this is a nice point kind of to bring in your first major investment in a women's sports team, which was partnering with Gotham FC that I mentioned earlier. You're going to be the presenting sponsor of Keep Her in the Game. And this is the largest back of jersey sponsorship in the history of NWSL, which is a big deal. Obviously, like Gotham FC's Keep Her in the Game initiative aligns really well with the work you've already discussed. But, my main question is why women's soccer and why now to partner with them?
Yeah, that partnership was put together by our Dove US team. My experience as an American and speaking to some, more people in UK and some other countries is, I think, with Title IX, past the year I was born, 1973, it's really created opportunities for us. But there are, obviously still barriers and dropouts. And yeah, I don't know why. I couldn't say why soccer or football and not another sport. I'm definitely would love to do basketball. I mean, that's my sport, but I think we'd love to do all the sports. But yeah, the Gotham City team being a new team, yeah, just a great opportunity, some amazing role models. I don't think we have any preference over different sports. We just want lots of physical activity and movement. And that's an exciting team to start that major partnership with.
Amazing. And I think for me, the main highlight and takeaway from this partnership is the kind of format of the partnership and, Brown stepping up, not just to sponsor a team, but also to actively create change across the overall sports ecosystem. Women's sport are experiencing a massive growth and brands need to approach partnerships in the right way. And I think Dove has shown that they have done that really well. Obviously you mentioned this is kind of on the more US side, but kind of what goes into building these initiatives and making sure you're establishing impactful collaborations. You touched on experts, but maybe when you look at who you're partnering with, what makes that partnership click there,
Yeah, I mean, value alignment first and foremost. So we were talking to one of the rugby associations about the Rugby World Cup coming up in the UK. They know body image is such a big issue. They already want to make it like a theme of the tournament. So having that values alignment is really important. And they have access to the population we want to work with. So coaches of girls 11 to 17, ideally. How can we integrate into their learning management systems or their training and grassroots programs for that age group? But yeah, I think values alignment. We don't want to just talk about a problem. We don't just want to slap the Dove logo on. There actually needs to be a real commitment to taking action and wanting to do something and further that mission. So the awareness, of course, helps. Please buy Dove. It helps to have our programs out there more and more. And we have amazing quality, superior products. But yeah, we want to see more role models. Being a professional athlete as a real career path, an option. Female athletes get paid so much less. So it's going to require more brands and businesses to sponsor women's sports in a big way with media dollars, sponsorship packages, etc.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something you mentioned not long ago. With the generational shifts happening so fast now and the factors impacting your athletes constantly evolving, how does Dove really stay ahead by reevaluating priorities and partnerships and messaging?
Yeah, I mean, we are always working with our experts, trying to understand where are the pressures, where can we make the biggest impact? Where do we need to raise awareness? I mean, yeah, we've been doing this for over 20 years now, but in a lot of the world, there's still not the vocabulary to talk about it or understand. And I think there's still a huge lack of understanding how we talk about appearance. People just think it's, just something kind of frivolous or jokey, but they don't understand the real damage it can have. So yeah, there's so many populations that may be impacted by it or, new issues that come up. How do you tackle social media and the pressures that come from that, or AI? Our campaign last year was talking about AI and the lack of diversity in images created through AI. So we're always just social listening, understanding what's happening in society, talking to our experts to see where the new pressures coming from, and then just deciding, okay, where do we have enough information? Where do we think we can make the biggest impact? So lots of things to consider when looking at new topics.
Lots of things to consider, absolutely. And they've set the bold goal, like I mentioned earlier, of reaching 250 million young people by 2030. How is progress coming along, and what has the response been globally?
Yeah, cross fingers. We have our numbers audited every year, so we get all the reporting in quarterly from partners and in the market too. There's lots of local partners in the market that we need to get data back from. So it's just being audited now, but I hope we're going to be just under 140 million. So we're making progress. We need to hit about 20 million a year to get there. I would love to finish more quickly. We really started expanding our reach in 2018 and 2019 when we started developing some tools that were going directly to young people. Before that, they've always been through an adult, through a teacher, through a parent, guardian, etc. So yeah, we've started kind of making the case and creating the evidence for what we call micro intervention. So how do we scale that up further? Reaching new populations. So last year we launched a program for 4 to 6-year-olds with Blippi. And actually that focuses with young kids that age. They aren't actually showing a lot of body image issues yet, but body functionality, embodiment, getting them to appreciate all the fun things their bodies do, and dancing and singing and making things, curiosity. So yeah, we plan to not only expand to new topic areas, but expand to new age groups. We have launched our first tool for women. We're just going through some processes now to do the research and things on them to understand the impact. But yeah, how do we expand to new age groups and continue to optimize the tools we have? So are there, for example, body confident sport, looking at new ways to talk about it? How do we adapt tools for the needs of coaches or new populations as well?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting how you say like introducing new age groups and also trying to hit new communities and people and so on. And obviously all in mind with trying to hit this target of those 250 million young people by 2030. And I think, Dove has also teamed up with a few ambassadors, the likes of Venus Williams and Kylie Kelsey and Tara Davis Woodall, just to mention a few there. How important is the role of these ambassadors, in driving this change? You just mentioned there, earlier in terms of like the different touch points across, coaches, families and so on. But there's other people that especially young women look up to, and kind of what's their role in driving things forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Credibility, amplification. If you hear one of your role models saying, hey, I had this issue too, I think you're more likely to accept that and try to overcome it as well. So yeah, it's really important to, any influencer content creation, that is as important as traditional marketing and, above the line TV advertising. So yeah, incredibly important, especially, for those role models who, have such a huge following, but a really dedicated following. I think people are really passionate and will listen and trust what these coaches or athletes will say. Athletes, former athletes, yeah.
There's so much, as you said, about like spreading the right message and in the right way as well. And I think there'll be organizations or people who work for small organizations maybe listening in and looking at ways and how they can create positive impact. I'd love to hear kind of what your advice would be, to them, but also, as you just mentioned now, how important is building a community to make this difference?
So yeah, the first question on what can organizations and coaches and parents do? Use our tools. The dream is, in child safety and kind of coaching policy, US doesn't have really good regulations, but a lot of other countries do. Can this be a mandatory? And some of our partners, have done that. World Triathlon has made it like a mandatory training. All their coaches go through this. So that's a big dream. Can we get, more coaches to be aware and at minimum include the body confident coaching module so they understand what body image is, how it impacts their athletes, how it can help them achieve, the objectives they want to support their athletes and win games, matches, events. So yeah, use our tool, how to make it kind of sustain it, make it kind of a social norm with policy change if possible. And, you could put up reminder posters, and there's a lot in the tools about creating community and how, especially in a team environment, how do you make the environment around you more conducive to positive body image and building body confidence? So yeah, there's a lot of environmental things you can change beyond just the personal individual behaviors as well.
Well, Stacey, you say it's a dream to make this a mandatory thing, but I think if World Triathlon are already using it, then I don't think it's completely unrealistic.
Yeah,
any federations, teams, absolutely reach out to Stacey, anyone. So as mentioned, Dove have recently joined the Sports Pro and Laureate Sport for Good Index last year for the Body Confidence Sport Initiative alongside Nike. The index is formed by independent judging panel who recognise brands of all sizes across various sectors using sport to really drive positive social and environmental change. Honorees across the previous 4 years have included the likes of Decathlon, EA Sports, Barclays and Lidl, just to name a few. How do you hope this recognition that Dove have had may inspire other brands and organisations that aren't inherently working in sports to use it as a driver for wider social change? I just mentioned Barclays and Lidl as well. They're not inherently in sports, but obviously they're doing great work too. But how do you hope that it would inspire the brands to sort of drive wider social change?
Being able to be associated, like we're in good company, it's such an honor to be selected and on the index, selected by the judges. And as an athlete and coach myself, I just want to see more support. Businesses need a business case. So I hope they can see the success of Dove as a brand. We're the biggest brand in Unilever, and the association correlation to being in the sports index and kind of the credibility. I hope that, yes, it encourages more brands to support girls and women in sport and know that, yeah, this is part of Dove's continued success to be part of this index and working in this space.
Amazing. Well, Stacey, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a very, very insightful conversation. I've loved it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Stacey.
You're welcome. Thanks so much.
To all our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you, please subscribe, share, and keep the conversation going. We will see you next time.